Still don't want to know, I didn't get a meeting set up for our land conservation. She called yesterday and said, no, the county board is gonna have a meeting that day. I said, hey, tell CC as president's over them. I said, tell them to get a different date.
We'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Pat Kenny,
Here.
John Weiner,
Here.
George Micka,
Yeah.
Rick Corpola,
Here.
Dylan Jennings.
Thank you. Going to item 2, approval of the agenda. And I want to note that under the land description portion, number 9, it says discussion. The cover sheet includes the word action, which we will consider today. So 9, we could add the word action after that. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda then? Motion by Supervisor Corporal. Is there a second? Yeah. Second by Supervisor Micka. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we'll go to number 3, approval of Zona Landing Committee meeting minutes from November 2nd, 2021.
I'll approve the committee meetings from November 2nd.
We have a motion by Supervisor Weiner to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second. I'll third it.
We have a second by Supervisor Micka. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we'll go to item 4, public comments. Is there anyone here that would like to make a public comment related to the zoning portion of the agenda? Is there anyone online, either on the Zoom or a telephone, that would like to make a public comment related to the zoning portion of the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move to item 5, the permits and issued and revenue account.
You should have them in your packet. July's revenue was 12,430. I can pass these around if you'd like. August was 19,790. Well, your paddock can pass them around. September was 13,885. October 8,750 and November 5,565.
Sounds like a pretty good.
Geez, with your department and Jen, we don't need even a debt levy. Holy smack. $280,000.
We think we're up about 30,000 plus where we had anticipated.
Oh, when are
being, so.
they out there building? What a year to do it.
Yeah.
What a year to do it.
So mostly, a lot of them are like septic permits and stuff.
There's a lot of sanitaries, yep, there's a number of garages, couple houses.
You know, when I was looking on here, what about this, like the soil testing? You
Yep,
know?
that's when we review soil tests, we get paid, county gets paid to review soil tests. So if you're gonna do a septic system at your house, the plumber, the soil tester will do a soil test. I get submitted to the office and then I do the review on
Are them soil tests pretty expensive?
that. They range between $500 and $1,000 depending on who your soil tester is.
60 grand in 5 months. That's just this 5 months.
That's terrible.
Yeah, ain't that great?
And when I started
We
here,
drop all the things all down.
George, when I started, the annual revenue was less than $22,000 in the
Yeah,
previous.
well,
administration.
yeah.
Wonderful. Good job.
So I'll ask the zoning administrator a question. On those permits that you're issuing, how does that break down on people that want to put in holding tanks versus mound systems?
I can't give you the exact numbers. We've had a number of mounds go in this year as replacement systems. So we are slowly seeing that transition just because of the enforcement side of things. So we've had a number of them in the Marengo hybrid area as we had hoped.
Okay. So part of the issue that the zoning administrator has to do with is a lot of people put in holding tanks because they were cheaper at the time, but then because of the higher cost to service those versus mound systems, a lot of people want to, just put a sump pump in and pump those holding tanks. So that's an issue that you're slowly addressing by getting more people to put in mound systems. And that's also a topic that the zoning committee in the future should come back and deal with in terms of an ordinance update.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on the information from the zoning administrator? Let's go to number 6 then. Is there any other business?
The thing I have for other business is I was directed by the county board to work with the property owners on Muckwa and Spider Lakes And I was picking apart the state ordinance, and this is gonna come up at the county board meeting as an action item. There is some verbiage in the dam portion of the state statutes that would allow the county to act as a municipality as far as forming a tax district. So if the county were to accept the risk, liability, and responsibilities of owning the dam, they could tax for it. It wouldn't be able to be an annual tax. The county would have to recapture their expenses based on the following year is, there'll be a debt levy assessed to those property owners, but that's kind of the only solution we've come up with. The property owners are still 100% against a lake district. They just refuse to form a lake district. Town of Gordon has no interest in taking ownership, so we're kind of left with, same thing before, the property owners are demanding something to be done, yet they won't take the initiative to do it themselves, so it's a complicated
So the
situation.
property owners don't want to take it.
They don't want to take it on as a lake district, they won't do it.
The people in Spider Lake want it.
Well,
but
we
the
don't
people
want to
in-
knock it out. You think they would change their mind if we're telling them we're gonna knock it out?
Well, that'll be the DNR's choice, like I said, by not accepting, if we choose to do nothing, like the position we've taken, that the DNR is gonna have to sue us. We're taking the stance that we're not gonna own the dam. So at that point, the DNR, if the DNR is tasked with trying to prove ownership, right in the state statutes, we don't meet the statutory requirements as a dam owner. The intent was there back in the late 50s, early 60s, but it never went through.
Well, the bigger, as big an issue, because I told Town of Marengo, I said, I wouldn't have a issue at all to charge them, the landowner so much and put it in a lapsing fund. I mean, the dam ain't, you've been there, the dam is never gonna go out.
Right. The problem with the way that,
5 years, 7 years ago, we had the Army Corps go in there and check it. And they said it's in perfect condition.
so, well, it needs repairs. The thing is, you can't have a non-lapsing fund. So, for example, if the county were to decide to own it, look at the hours I put in, the hours Dan's put in, the hours Jenny's put in, those are all billable hours. You'd have to get estimates from companies to come in and make the repairs, get those bids, accept those bids, and then that would be a special tax assessment the following
Have
year.
have you discussed a charge if the county took it over?
Can't statutorily. All you can do is charge them for what the current expense is. So you can't create, initially
You
when you,
can't create a fund,
right,
you can't charge everybody $200 a year.
right.
So, but if it goes out and we gotta repair it, we can charge each of them $7,000.
There wouldn't be a minimum, correct? I mean, you'd have people that potentially would lose their home because if you have a, $600,000 repair bill, you can opt to do that in 1 year, or you can borrow the money and
Sure.
take it over term. but-
And it's my opinion, I mean, we had the biggest flood in the history of records here in 2016, and it didn't mean nothing to that. It didn't even know it happened.
Right.
I mean, it washed out train trestles, for gosh sakes. It washed out roads that were 50, 60 feet high.
Right.
That dam didn't mean nothing. I personally, if push comes to shove, county, I don't know why we wouldn't take it. It's never gonna go out, none of our history.
So is this going to be on the agenda for the next meeting on the 14th?
It is on the county board agenda, so as a discussion, possible action. And I know there's gonna be representatives here from Spider Lake that are.
Okay, so they've got the notice.
Yep, I've talked to them. They're still willing to front $35,000 to put towards repairs or expenses or what have you.
Okay.
That part hasn't changed, so.
If I was to worry between that one and the Day Lake Dam, I'd worry more about the Day Lake Dam, because that's 4 times the size.
Yeah, but
Even though there's nothing behind it.
the dam failure analysis on the Day Lake Dam was erroneous because they went with the height of the dam, not the surrounding soil. So you've got a dam that's 10 feet in the air, but the water's gonna top around it long before. The parking lot's gonna flood and the dam would never go out at that point. You're not.
Well, see, the DNR, it was a forestry service, like, here about, it's gotta be 15 years ago, they came to us and they wanted us to go from a 500-year floodplain, because I think that's what's still there, a 500-year floodplain. They wanted to drop it to a 100-year floodplain. And the reason was, in case it went out, they wanted it, you know, who was gonna fix it and everything. And the people come in here, we had everybody, there was a full board came in, and they said, you know what it'll do to our insurance? It'll quadruple our insurance, you know, and they said, no way. And then you got County Trunk C,
Mhm.
and like you're saying right now, if it flooded a little bit, it hit County Trunk C, and I mean, there's another dam.
Right,
I mean, I don't think that would have, well, it didn't wash out in this last flood.
correct.
It didn't even know it was there.
Mhm.
So everybody said, no way, and they just got up and left. That was the end of the story.
And that's part of the reason that if you look at our dam failure studies, that was adopted as dam non-existent. So then on Clam Lake and Lower Clam Lake, had they adopted that with the dam failure analysis, there's a lot of spots that wouldn't have been buildable. There's a new house getting built right now that if you look at the dam failure data, if the dam failed, you know, the water would be above the second floor. I mean, they'd be running for the roof. But the way it was adopted, you know, it made the site buildable, and I mean, it's gonna be $1 million house when it's done. It's beautiful.
See, there's just not that much that feeds that dam. And there's what, 6 or 7 miles between that dam and Highway C down on the Bronze Willow. That water, the water that washed around the bridge on Bronze Willow, that all came below the dam. That water didn't come from above the dam. I'm sure there was some of it. But there's so many turns, that slows that water is,
Supervisor Weiner?
what's our chance of taking it?
I was, it's like half, my relatives own 3/4 of Muckle Lake. My relatives do. My mom, dad, brothers, uncles, they own 3/4 of Muckle Lake.
Why don't you take it over?
But anyway, I go to all the town meetings regarding this dam if it comes up on it, and the Spider Lake people are on board to do anything they gotta do. It's the town of Maringo that doesn't want to get involved with the things. So that's the thing. Like I said, Spider Lake are on board, but the town of Maringo don't want nothing to do with this. So that's the push.
So this is on the agenda for next week, and there'll be a recommendation, and we'll go through the details.
Well, I'm presenting the information. I'm not making a recommendation. That'll be to the county board's determination to make a recommendation at that point.
Is next week just informational, or is?
No, it's an action item.
Okay.
You know, I was told to work with the town,
Okay,
work with the taxpayers. This is the only change is the fact that there is a possibility that we can create the tax district. But we still have, you know, there's still liability there. I mean, if the dam goes out and we have to come up with $750,000, you're gonna be going to the bank to borrow that money. The DNR is gonna expect that dam to be replaced, you know, quickly. So then you're gonna be, you know, looking at terms. If we don't take ownership, we don't have to. Right. And at the end of the day, it's important to the people on Spider Lake and it's important to the people on Muckwa Lake, and they can form the Lake District and the problem is solved. It's the same thing we've talked about from the beginning, but they don't want the responsibility of forming the district.
So maybe
Right.
when this
Well,
all
I'll tell
comes.
you what, if it goes out, you call me. Because I know I can get 5 farmers and put that sucker in for $1,000. Right?
But when the time comes that we come
We
to
wanna
a
work.
conclusion on this year, I would like to have an agenda, but I know like a lot of people would like to come to that meeting and express their feelings too. Though. So if we have a meeting where it's going to involve the private people around, I could let them know, and they would definitely be here to give their points of views too.
Well, that'll be next week. I know Spider Lake's got people coming.
So next week, we're gonna have a meeting here.
It's the county board meeting. It's on the agenda for the county board meeting.
Oh,
It's not a zoning issue at this point. It's a county board issue.
okay, and then we could go back to a zoning meeting, and then you could come to that.
No, it's a county board decision to make, taking responsibility, taking ownership. So if they want to come speak, they should probably come speak at a county board meeting.
Is there any other avenues besides the county board right now?
As far as,
Well, could we have Madison take it over?
Well, the DNR is gonna have to decide here January 1st if they're gonna try and sue the county or not. You know, right now they're posturing. If you look at the definition, one of the steps in the state statute is that you have legal access. We don't have legal access. Yellowtail's put an article in a letter to the editor and even states in there. One minute they say we have it, which we don't have legal access, and they turn around and state that anytime we've needed to go.
They can come in from the other side.
Can't, because they own that side too.
They what?
Yellowtail's own both sides of the dam. So we don't have access from the other
Well,
side.
then they take a boat because they don't own the water
Correct.
and they don't own 3
And that's
feet
what-
on either side.
We went by boat, that's, like a couple of years ago.
That's only down there a quarter of a mile. I mean, gosh sakes, I mean, that's not a very, hey,
So-
they could probably put a yacht in there, with DNR.
So that it's,
What's his health? Is he?
Charles,
Yeah,
he's dead.
that's what I thought. Because.
So what the DNR is gonna come out and say, either DNR is gonna take it over or the county's gonna take
The
it over.
DNR at this point will have to take the county to court and sue us,
Oh,
enforce
okay.
ownership, which then means we'll have to turn around and if Claire or Yellowtail or the family won't hand over access, we'll have to sue the Yellowtail family for access. And at that point, my recommendation would be you take their property through eminent domain. And that their piece of paradise would become county property, you could turn it to a park.
Take the property at eminent domain or what?
If we have to go through the process to get an easement to get to the dam, my recommendation would be eminent domain and take Yellowtail's property. Because you'd have full access, you would have, I mean, there's a cable up now, we can't even get in there. They're blocking the local residents out, before the locals would go in there, and I don't blame them. I mean, if I own the property, I wouldn't want people traipsing through my property.
I'll go talk to Claire. And could you write down some of the issues that would, could you write that on a sheet for me so that I can take it to her and say, here's the options. If you don't want to give us access, we can take it.
Mhm.
Because I know I've been through that already. I've been through eminent domain. When we put in E, we had two landowners we offered them twice what the land was worth and they turned it down. So we went through, take 6 months to go through eminent domain. And then we give them what it was worth, about half of what we offered them and took it anyway.
Right.
But it's the presidents. A lot of these people just think, hey, I got it. And unless you take it from me,
If the county board decides to move forward and take ownership, I'll do that, because somebody will have to try and work things out with Yellowtail's.
Actually, we should just leave it alone. That's fair.
That'd be the best thing.
I agree.
Yeah,
But I just,
I'm gonna suggest that this is not an action item. And I think you've updated us on what's
Correct.
there, and I think we're starting to cross into considering direction. So I think we should stop.
That's fine.
They
Yeah.
own like 30
Yeah.
acres there, don't they? So if you win eminent domain, you wouldn't have to take the whole thing. All you do is take
You could either you could either just take an easement, or you could take the property.
Yeah.
The county's discretion at that point. So.
Yeah,
I just want to point out, we can pull this off the county board agenda. Heather's doing it right now. We can pull it off and still kick this can down the road. DNR is not going to sue right away, right in January. So if you want to take time to think about it and try to work more with landowners, we can do that.
I think there would be benefit for the county board to understand the option that you raised, just so that we know that that's an option and that discussion is held in a public meeting. I think there'd be benefit to a discussion only on the avenue that you think may be open if we choose to go there in the future.
Right. And then the county board does not have to make a decision then on next week if they don't want to.
Correct.
They can still kick the can down the road.
Yeah.
So, this is not, you have to make a decision right away.
Well,
type of
the
thing.
thing of it is this could be presented at the county board meeting as an option, and if the DNR decides to take us to task and sue us and we lose, we have a way to pay for it.
Yeah, so I think at this point, just a discussion item.
Yeah, we got all kinds of money in here and all.
I think just a discussion item would be constructive, so everybody, including the public and the residents, understand that that's
All
a
right.
We can
possibility.
change that on the agenda then.
Yeah, so is that the consensus of the committee? You want to make the county board item just in a discussion item and not an actionable item?
I think it's too early to decide direction.
Oh, yeah.
That's my feeling.
Okay, then
Good.
I'll make sure Heather makes it a discussion.
Do you guys, you guys all know that the town of Gordon hired an attorney for this, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what the attorney had to say about this whole thing? Neither do I, but it'd be like interesting.
I
to
can
know.
tell you what he said about it.
Okay,
Well, his first information was wrong, so they went back to him a second time. And he had said that the town can't tax and the town can't own land outside of the township, and the town can own land outside the township, but they need the taxpayers of the township to vote on it. And the town of Gordon doesn't want it. At this point, the town of Gordon doesn't see value in owning the dam. They don't want to take it to the election spring, they can either hold a special meeting of the electors at the town hall and vote on it, or it can go on the spring election, and the current town board has no desire to own it. They want either the residents to form a lake district, the same thing the county wanted, or they want the county going. So, we agree that we agree with the town of Gordon that the people that live on the lake should form the lake district.
well, the people there are very interested in that. That's the last thing they want is that dam to go. So whatever comes involved, that dam has to stay. Otherwise, these people will come up with some other things, some other ideas, because they do not want that dam to go.
Right.
Is there any other business on the zoning portion of the agenda?
Oh, that's all I had for
All
you.
right, thank you.
Yep.
Hearing none, we'll move to the land description portion of the agenda. Number 7, public comments. Is there anyone that would like to make a public comment related to the land description portion of the agenda? Is there anybody on Zoom or the phone that would like to make a public comment on the land description portion of the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move to item 8, discussion and possible action on the payment plan policy.
Okay, so I went ahead and made edits to the payment plan policy as we discussed at our last meeting. So that should have been in your packets. I believe the updated version. Were there any comments?
I had just a few small comments. One was the capitalization or lack of capitalization on the word county as it's used here. And I sent Jennifer an email yesterday with the 3 things that I'll mention here. Is I think after looking at it, county should be lowercase, but some of the documents have county lowercase, some have an uppercase. You could do a search and you could find someone that knows more about English than I do to determine whether it's upper or lower, and then just consistency with whatever you do. So
Okay.
I'll leave that one at that. On the second page, in the middle, it's in the exemption section. It says, the county understands that hardships arise which prevent or make it difficult to make adequate or timely payments in the event of the death of a sole property owner. And I was wondering if we could strike the word sole, because sometimes property is owned by multiple people that are not husband and wife joint tenants in common. And there could be cases, it could be an estate where there's, 3, 4, 5, or a pile of kids that own it together, things like that. So would there be any harm in taking out the word sole?
Well, I think this has always been our policy. It just hasn't been in writing.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's really helpful to.
I looked it over and I think it's exactly the same thing we've been doing, only now it's a documentation.
Yeah,
It gives Jen a little more leverage to get these people to start paying, because some of them are getting back to 3, 4, and 5 years, and we just can't have that.
yeah. So that word sole there, is there any reason that we couldn't take it out?
No, I think it's a good idea to take that out.
Because if you put sole in there, then you'd have to have a case for what do you do with when it's not a sole owner?
Right.
So we could take out the word sole. And then the other question or comment I had was, I didn't see an interest rate stated in here, or the mention of charging interest. And I'm thinking of that question in part because what if someone comes to you and says, look, I'm not sure I can, make my payments. How does this work? And it would be nice to have in a document that interest is charged and the rate, so they have that up front and
Yeah,
aren't
the
surprised
only-
later.
The only thing that I would question on the agreement is, it says the name agree to pay of blank per month. What if it ain't enough to cover the penalty in that? Are you gonna be able to set that, or are you gonna bring that back to us? Or,
Yeah, so I believe I have it in here.
It's
Yeah,
there,
it's in
yeah.
payment plans. It's in the second paragraph on page 2 of payment plans. The minimum payment amount will be an approximate amount to pay off the year subject to tax deed within 12 months from the date of the arrangement. So when we, start discussing a payment agreement, I would let them know what the minimum is, and the payment plan won't be accepted if they try to offer something lower than
And is that a point
minimum.
where putting in a statement regarding charging interest and the rate would?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can
that's
reiterate
pretty
that.
self-explanatory.
Yeah,
You'll be able to put that in your computer and tell them how much they gotta pay to get that one done.
Yep.
Within 12 months, yeah.
Yep.
Pretty much self-explanatory.
and then on the interest what rate are you charging and what's the frequency of compounding? Do you know?
Yeah, it's set by the county. I think it's 1.5% per month.
Okay, compounded monthly. then.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
I make a motion, we go ahead and, are you ready to start this?
Yeah,
Then
I'd
I
like
make a
to get it
motion
passed.
Start sending it to the clients.
Okay, so with the changes on striking sole and adding the interest rate and frequency of compounding,
Mhm.
But you got taxes and that, you don't start till February or March. I don't care when you start.
okay, so with the proposed changes, we have a motion by Supervisor Mika to approve. Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Corporal. Any other discussion?
And if she runs into problems, that's what we're here for.
Ready to vote? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. So this is really helpful to me to read through this. Now I know what I'm
Sure.
doing here.
Yeah, I think it'll be
Well,
helpful too to
Let's
just
put it
send.
This way, if it doesn't solve the problems, you can always come back and ask for a different issue. Rick's gonna be running for board again.
Let's move,
I already.
I got George busing.
let's,
I got them right. you
George,
right.
George,
You're right.
we're going to move to item 9, discussion and possible action on the results of the land sale.
Yeah, so it looks like Carisha had printed off for everyone the results of the land sale that we had.
Nice job.
Yeah, so we did pretty well. We sold everything that we had listed. Yeah, so you can see here on the chart, the name of the high bidder, the high bid amount, and then what our total expenses, the taxes and expenses were, and then whether we made a profit or we took a loss. So with that, I would just seek a motion to accept all high bids from the land sale.
Also move.
We have a motion by Supervisor Corporal to approve the bids. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Supervisor Weiner. Any discussion? All in favor?
Which one is this?
Aye.
This isn't. that,
Opposed?
the old
Motion
gas
carries.
station
Thank you.
across the street. Is that the one?
That's the number 3 on the list is the
job. Nice job.
I believe it was a grocery store. It's across the street from the
Oh,
Quick
from the
Mart.
one, so both of them sold
Yep,
them.
so both of them did
Oh,
sell.
man. How sweet it is. I've been working on this for close to 3 years.
Yeah, it was a
You
relief
know,
to see that
You
gone.
know how it goes, like the Super Bowl, you win the Super Bowl, oh, I'm going to Disney World. You know what? I am going for Christmas too.
We are going to item 10, discussion and action on property subject to tax deed.
Yeah, so in the packet was an updated tax deed notice list. Of note, on page 2, about halfway down, we had sent to this owner, Amanda Gallegos, we had sent her a last chance letter to either pay up her 2018s or come to the meeting because we were gonna foreclose on it. She hasn't made any payments.
We don't have that in our packet, do we?
The,
Yeah, it's this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second page, second from the bottom.
the tax deed notice list.
I don't. Yeah.
we had sent her a last chance letter and she did not pay, and she's not at the meeting to make comment. This is a house and there are occupants there. So I know the committee typically doesn't take people's homes in the winter, but I thought I'd bring it up anyway for discussion.
So she's been served the notice, so we could at this point approve taking it.
Yes.
But obviously it's heated and we want it to remain heated through the winter, correct? Do you happen to know if they're paying the water bill?
That I'm not sure on. I'd have to double check with the city.
So it might be one that we wait till late winter, early spring. Is that your,
I mean, I think so. That's typically been what the committee's done in the past, you know, plus committee hasn't wanted to evict people, you know, right at the start of winter. So,
and my understanding is, I asked this last year probably, we don't want to be in the business of dealing with renters in there either.
mhm.
So. So you want us to be aware of it, but
Yes, yep,
would your recommendation be that we wait till late winter, early spring?
yes,
And
yep.
then let her know that perhaps?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay.
We can send a letter. Okay. That's all the updates I have for this list, unless there's any specific questions on it. I know there are some people that we were kind of waiting on sending little like reminder payment plan letters, because I wanted to get the payment plan policy finalized so that we can just send the whole policy with, and then the new payment plan agreement documentation. So we can start on that. Okay. Then if there's no other questions, I don't need any motions or anything from that.
Jennifer, good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad the sale went so well. So that has really worked well, moving to Wisconsin surplus auction. So.
Yep.
Yep. So, all right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
And then item 11, other business. Is there any other business?
I don't have any other business now.
Okay, thank you. Any other business? Then we'll look for a next meeting date. Jennifer, do you happen to know, or Chris, do you happen to know from Josh's end, zoning end? Oh, you're still here, sorry. As far as when the next meeting date would be needed, roughly? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really need a January meeting. I'd be fine waiting till February.
I would suggest a doodle poll, but think we got 3 that aren't using the computer. Do you use a computer? You do, huh? Okay. Oh, 2 then. Okay. Well, waiting and using a doodle poll, if you got, several that aren't using a computer gets harder. So do you want to set a meeting in February?
Computer for me.
Yeah.
I think like the rest of the meetings, they've been either, they call you up or ahead of time and let you know when the meeting is. So I don't think you have to worry about anything like that right now.
So as far as some of these properties with houses, would late February in terms of timeline on your end, if there are some that you're gonna recommend taking,
I mean, I guess that's,
or even into March?
I would
maybe?
say even into March for taking those houses, but
Yeah, February would be plenty early.
Into March work for you, okay?
Sure does.
what would you recommend?
We
in
still
March?
get, well, we really should meet every month next year till April, but we still got Rick. And he doesn't get done till April. He doesn't get done till April. I mean, yeah.
We better put 2 a weekend.
For the two of you with March, what would you, on your calendars or?
I think you should have a meeting. in
I'm
February
open
anyway.
anytime in March.
I'm good for any time in March also. How about March 16th, it's a Wednesday.
What day?
March 16th, it's a Wednesday.
March? I don't care.
March 16th, 9
Yeah.
o'clock.
That's
You
my
know,
birthday.
It's far enough
if
out, I
something
don't have
happens or
anything
you-
planned.
We need to meet, you can always call Pat, and he can always call a meeting.
Correct.
That's not a big deal.
Yeah. So one more
That's what the
motion,
chair is for.
one more motion Supervisor Mika, how about a motion to adjourn?
Oh, I think we still have,
Do we?
do we still have Brittany's portion or? Oh. Never mind then.
Merry Christmas to you.
We have a motion by
We'll see
Supervisor
you
Mika
on
to
next
adjourn.
Tuesday, won't
Do we have a second? We have a second from Supervisor Weiner to adjourn. All in favor? Aye, opposed?